because everyone here is insane with love in a certain way. They express it differently. But it's really about love, even though we call this jnana yoga, okay, which is the yoga of knowledge or gnosis, right? But the knowledge is only used to deconstruct the ego that is not in a state of love. The ego is actually a defense against love, because it's afraid of love. It's afraid of being hurt. And so the ego is a structure of defenses. And those defenses are constructed out of language, out of thoughts. And so the way that we get to liberation is first we silence the mind, but you can't fight with the mind from within the mind. So you have to become interested in who you are, who is witnessing all of those thoughts that are defenses against love. Recognize that they're not you, and that you as the witness have the right to turn toward your source. Disidentify from both body and mind, because they are simply vehicles and programs that you've used, and discover who is the real you, the real self, who is unborn and who has never left the state of blissful love, because that's the nature of our being. Even though the ego may have been traumatized and may have become cynical and dark and split and dissociated and full of delusional narratives, nonetheless, the real self is unchangingly blissful and in a state of unconditional, infinite, universal love. And so why not live in that state? But to do that, we need to use the mind for the purpose of recognizing the false self, disidentifying and disinvesting in its values, which are usually about something that isn't love, but money or whatever enjoyments of a sensory nature it can hold on to. But it's only in the letting go and the return to the emptiness that is beyond the mind, the superconscious self, that freedom and fulfillment are found. So it's a very simple path. It doesn't require techniques. It doesn't require a tremendous amount of rituals or any kind of approach that requires a mental process. It's actually letting go of the mind, because the self, the real self, does not think, does not need to think, because the real self already knows whatever it needs to know. And knowledge will drip down from the superconscious into the conscious mind when needed, if there is a bond of love with that infinite intelligence that is the blissful self.